The episode Forever Ambergris from Tales from the Crypt stands out as a remarkable blend of horror, dark humor, and social commentary, capturing the essence of the series while exploring human obsession and the consequences of greed. From the very beginning, the opening sequence establishes an atmosphere of eerie curiosity, presenting a seemingly mundane coastal town with an undercurrent of mystery that gradually intensifies. The cinematography immediately draws the viewer into the murky, almost dreamlike world where ordinary reality is subtly warped by supernatural overtones. The choice of lighting in the early scenes, particularly the way the sun reflects off the ocean and the ambergris washing up on the shore, creates an almost otherworldly glow that contrasts sharply with the morally murky actions of the characters, signaling to the audience that beauty can mask corruption. The protagonist, a man obsessed with the legendary substance ambergris, is introduced with a meticulous focus on his rituals, emphasizing his compulsions and foreshadowing his eventual downfall. His fascination is portrayed not merely as eccentricity, but as a lens through which human desire, greed, and the inability to relinquish control are examined. Watching him interact with the townsfolk reveals layers of tension, as his obsession alienates him while simultaneously drawing in those who are eager to exploit the rare resource for their gain. One particularly striking scene occurs when he discovers a massive lump of ambergris half buried in sand at low tide. The camera lingers on his hands, brushing over its surface, highlighting the textural richness and almost sensual appeal of the substance. This moment, while seemingly innocuous, serves as a critical turning point, illustrating how the allure of wealth and the promise of luxury can manipulate human morality. The series has always excelled at blending macabre horror with psychological nuance, and this episode achieves that balance masterfully. As the narrative progresses, the protagonist's increasing isolation mirrors his moral decay, and the mise-en-scène reinforces this, with scenes set in dimly lit attics, cluttered laboratories, and storm-swept beaches where nature itself seems to react to his obsessions. The sound design complements the visual storytelling, with the lapping waves and distant cries of seagulls creating a backdrop that is simultaneously serene and ominous. The juxtaposition of natural beauty against human greed adds a layer of tragic irony to the tale, underscoring the futility of trying to control forces larger than oneself. One cannot ignore the exceptional performances by the cast, whose subtle expressions convey unspoken tensions and moral ambiguity. The protagonist's slow descent is rendered with remarkable subtlety, each gesture and gaze conveying desperation, fascination, and the creeping dread of inevitable retribution. Supporting characters, ranging from skeptical townsfolk to opportunistic outsiders, are skillfully depicted with varying shades of complicity and curiosity, reflecting the diverse ways humans respond to temptation. What makes Forever Ambergris particularly compelling is the way it intertwines horror with humor, a hallmark of the Tales from the Crypt series. Moments of dark irony punctuate the narrative, such as when the protagonist, in his fervent obsession, miscalculates the value of the ambergris and encounters absurd, almost slapstick consequences. These interludes of humor serve not only to entertain but also to deepen the thematic resonance, highlighting the absurdity of human hubris and the unpredictability of fate. The episode also succeeds in exploring the notion of legacy and memory, particularly through the lens of objects imbued with value beyond the material. Ambergris, in this context, becomes a symbol not merely of wealth, but of human desire to capture and preserve something elusive and eternal. The protagonist's obsession is thus rendered both personal and universal, echoing larger questions about mortality, ambition, and the ethical compromises we make in pursuit of our desires. Visually, the episode employs a rich palette that reinforces the story's duality of allure and danger. Warm, golden tones dominate scenes where the ambergris is present, creating a sense of allure, while colder, muted shades permeate moments of tension or moral reckoning. This careful attention to color theory enhances the narrative's psychological impact, subtly guiding viewers' emotional responses and heightening engagement with the plot. Furthermore, the editing choices contribute significantly to the episode's tension and pacing. Scenes of discovery are intercut with fleeting glimpses of ominous elements, a shadow lurking behind a rock, a sudden gust of wind overturning a container, building suspense without relying on overt horror tropes. The gradual escalation of tension mirrors the protagonist's psychological unraveling, ensuring that viewers are invested not only in the physical events but in the internal struggles that drive them. Comparatively, when considering other tales from the Crypt episodes, Forever Ambergris stands out for its emphasis on character-driven storytelling rather than shock value alone. While the series often indulges in grotesque imagery and plot twists, this episode balances narrative sophistication with visual flair, offering a more contemplative exploration of human behavior alongside the trademark morbidity. There is also a literary quality to the script, reminiscent of classic cautionary tales where the protagonist's flaw is both identifiable and magnified by circumstance. Personal reflection on viewing this episode brings to mind how obsession, when left unchecked, can erode relationships, cloud judgment, and ultimately isolate the individual. Watching the protagonist become increasingly consumed by ambergris evokes a sense of familiarity, as though one is witnessing a mirror held up to society's endless pursuit of rare commodities, status, or power. The story's resolution, both shocking and inevitable, serves as a moral fulcrum, demonstrating that the universe, whether governed by supernatural forces or human-imposed consequences, has a way of restoring balance. Another noteworthy aspect of the episode is the incorporation of folklore and myth, blending historical fascination with narrative invention. The origins of ambergris are steeped in maritime lore and exoticism, and the series cleverly leverages this mystique to enhance suspense while educating viewers in subtle ways. The protagonist's meticulous research, his cataloging of previous finds, and the obsessive care with which he handles the substance echo the behaviors of real-world collectors and treasure hunters, lending a layer of authenticity that anchors the fantastical elements in reality. Cinematic parallels are also evident, particularly in the way the episode visually echoes the mood of Gothic literature and early horror cinema, where atmosphere, shadow, and suggestion carry the narrative weight as much as plot. One can appreciate the careful framing of shots, the use of reflective surfaces to create depth, and the deliberate pacing that allows tension to accumulate organically. Such choices demonstrate the production team's commitment to artistry beyond the constraints of episodic television. Finally, Forever Ambergris resonates because it taps into universal human experiences, the allure of discovery, the temptation of wealth, and the peril of single-minded pursuit. It challenges viewers to confront their own obsessions, consider the ethical dimensions of desire, and reflect on the often invisible consequences of actions driven by compulsion. As a piece of visual storytelling, it succeeds on multiple levels, technically, thematically, and emotionally. In conclusion, the episode offers a rich tapestry of horror, humor, psychological insight, and moral contemplation. Its careful attention to character development, setting, visual design, and narrative pacing exemplifies why Tales from the Crypt remains a touchstone of intelligent, entertaining television. Forever Ambergris stands as a testament to the series' ability to marry the macabre with the thought-provoking, leaving viewers simultaneously entertained and introspective, pondering the fine line between fascination and obsession, beauty and corruption, desire and destruction. Watching it once is compelling. Revisiting it reveals ever more layers, subtleties, and thematic depth, confirming its enduring appeal and creative excellence within the horror anthology tradition.